Hello and welcome everyone, this is Kalibovich coming to you with another patch notes video for Storybook Brawl. We've been waiting for this one more than a month now, I think, or give or take a month, but patch 0.67.4 is upon us, and with it some changes. Yes, I know people have been playing in the beta branch of Storybook Brawl, people saw some of the changes already, but I'm personally reluctant to look at all those things because I know that we're not gonna see all the changes that are being tested. Not all of them are going to get implemented. Also, some new things might occur, etc., etc. So I'd much rather look at the state of the live game, and that's what I'm gonna go through with you guys right now. So there are some hero changes, there are some card changes. Some cards have been taken out of the game, some have returned from the grave. So let's dig in. Two hero changes. First of all, King Midas. Right now, King Midas can in fact find quest characters, and upon finalization of those quests, they can give him a treasure. So think of it this way. You have Cinderella on level 2, Princess White and Brave Princess, the one who never slays, on level 3. You have Nutcracker on 4, Lancelot on 5, and last, and probably not least, Hercules on 6. So imagine if you could get like one of each level of treasures. Would that help you? Yes, of course. I mean, I personally know that King Midas is not the worst hero, but I haven't had much success playing with him. But with the addition of at least some of the treasures, that could be of much use, obviously. So I do like that change. Also, right now, if you're going into Royals, you can find those additional 6 Royals, those questing ones. They can get upgraded, hopefully rather easily, which means that Prince Arthur has more targets to buff. So Royals is another good comp for the new King Midas. On the other hand, the Sphinx got a nerf, and a well-deserved one. You don't see an extra spell in the store, and this drops the Sphinx way, way, way down. You only get a free spell on the rounds where you level up, so on 30, 40, 50, 60, which is still awesome and cool and amazing. But given that you have that you see fewer things in the shop, you will have a lower probability of finding those XP spells on those levels, which means you will have to be kind of doom rolling if you want to go for that. And even if you find, let's say, a crystal ball before you reach like 5-0 or 6-0, and you are going to have an insane turn, you still will have to be rolling because you will only see one spell in shop per turn, and there is like a 33% give or take probability of finding a spell that you can cast, given that you have a tree, a prince or princess, a monster, etc., in play when it comes to crystal balling. Also, once you reach level 6, you can clearly move out of the Sphinx, you can clearly dream out of Sphinx, because Sphinx then doesn't give you an additional ability. So Sphinx got way worse. How much worse? I don't know. I'm still gonna test him, but from really what people would call an S tier, probably fell to somewhere around B, if I were to use that scale, and I don't like using that scale. So for me, just ran down from top 10 to around 15, 20 maybe, but that has to be yet tested. Card changes for Good Boy and for Friendly Spirit. Finally, the changes are here that the last breath ability of these characters do not affect themselves. So Good Boy, upon dying, or at least triggering his last breath ability, gives your other good characters stats from Good Boy, and Friendly Spirit cannot target itself with its last breath ability, which means most of all, copycat builds get way worse. Copy Good Boy builds get way worse. They don't get nuked, but they get way, way, way worse. And Trophy Hunter gets a well-deserved nerf as well. It's like, okay, for Trophy Hunter, if you're going for Trophy Hunter Friendly Spirit, let's say there are those combats where you attack with a Grimsoul, your Grimsoul dies, and you trigger Friendly Spirit's ability upon Friendly Spirit, and then start triggering it with more stats upon others. And compare that to Friendly Spirit never triggering on itself, just triggering onto other characters. So the second scenario is way worse, and that's what we have. When it comes to Good Boy cannot rebuff itself, but let's say you are running 2 Good Boys. So one Good Boy triggers upon the next one, and the next one, when it slays, triggers upon everything else. So these have been heavily nerfed, especially Good Boy, more so than Friendly Spirit, because it doesn't work anymore with Mirror, it doesn't work with Phoenix Feather, it doesn't work with Trophy Hunter, it doesn't work with Copycat. On the other hand, let's say you are running Monkey's Paw, upgraded Copycat into Good Boy in 5, Good Boy in 6. It still kind of works, but it's way worse. Like, you attack with Copycat, you trigger Good Boy in 5, which the buff goes onto Good Boy in 6. Good Boy in 6 gets the buff onto Good Boy in 5, then 5 goes again and 6 goes again. The sum of the buffs is way smaller, but it at least becomes more manageable for other players to overcome this. So it's not a race towards Copy Boy or stuff like that. So I do like that. I think these will still be played. I mean, you can still go Good Boy in 1, attack, and give your good board just a lot of attack, and you have shooters in the back row, and you are going royals, etc. It is just probably going to be more manageable, and I do like this change. For Friendly Spirit, an obvious one as well. Jormungand is getting a huge buff, and it's a tricky one. Instead of just slay +20/+20 this brawl, and remember, Jormungand looks cool, is cool, can sometimes be cited in games of Storybook Brawl, but it is very difficult for this one to win you games, because it attacks, it dies, and doesn't trigger its buff. Right now, when another one of your characters triggers a slay ability, +20/+20 this brawl, and slay +20/+20 this brawl. Okay, so how this is going to work is this is going to be your ultimate slayer or your backup slayer. And you can put him in the back row. So let's say you go Baba Yaga into a huge Lancelot or something, and the Lancelot is going to slay. And with Baba Yaga, it triggers the slay ability several times, which means it triggers Jormungand several times, right? So Jormungand just waits for its turn until everyone else has already slain, and then from 5 or 6, it can go off. I don't know how it's going to work with Grimsoul, because Grimsoul can sometimes land on Jormungand, and sometimes it can land on something else and on Jormungand. This is something like when you have when you have a Friendly Spirit that is huge, and you have an Echo Wood. So sometimes the buff would land on Echo Wood, or it would land on something else, and then it would land on Echo Wood, if you know what I mean. So there is that. So Jormungand right now becomes way more playable, and it becomes way more playable especially in slay builds, which is what this huge worm monster was always all about. It's still neutral, which is kind of crazy, but okay, let's say it is. Bossy is back from the dead. It's a level 5, it's 6/6, gives other dwarves +3/+3, which is a buff for dwarves, obviously, because having Bossy is better than not having Bossy, and a bigger stat gain here as well. So all is well, especially that Princess White is getting a buff finally, because the last incarnation of your dwarves have +1/+1 was just bad. Like, I was heavily avoiding playing her. And right now it's dwarves in your shop have +1/+2, and quest buy 7 dwarves. So right now she is the ultimate support, because from what I gather, you can just have her on the bench, and she works like an additional treasure, much like Fairy Tale. It's what they're saying in the patch notes. And you're just buying those dwarves, and you're triggering her quest, and you don't even have to field her. You're just fielding all the dwarves, and they combo off one another, and they're bigger because of the permanent buff. So I do like this change. I do like where this has gone. I don't know if +1/+2 is the stat line we want, but let's say it's fine. Okay? Great Pumpkin King got lowered from level 6 to a level 5 with a lower stat line, obviously. There is one thing about this that I don't like. I mean, I do love myself a Tikva a Tikva squad. But if it's on 5 from itself, it's just going to trigger a 4, which is kind of worse. unless that 4 is exactly Medusa. I mean, it's going to be easier to get an evil comp going with such a great Pumpkin King, but I somehow feel that this is a nerf more than a buff. It's a sideway buff, as people in Eternal would call it. Anyway, Shoulder Fairies got nerfed, or rather, the interaction between Shoulder Fairies and Echoed got nerfed. Because so far, Shoulder Fairies got a one-time buff at the beginning of the brawl, of each brawl. Right now, they have a static buff that works for your strongest evil character and the healthiest good character. So right now, Shoulder Fairies have a static stat line. They don't gain that buff, which means they do not trigger Echoed, and this is a huge change, and it is a great change, because we can still grow huge Shoulder Fairies off of something like a Slaying Lancelot when it comes to health, or a Happy Little Tree when it comes to health. On the other hand, we have growing stuff such as Chupacabra, such as Spellweaver, such as other Slayers and or Spellers, like Aeon, etc. So Shoulder Fairies still has a place to stay, but it's no longer like, okay, so I have a really big evil character and a really big good character, so I'm going for both Shoulder Fairies and Echoed, and I win the lobby. No more. On the other hand, Echoed seems like right now it's very nerfed, because we've seen nerf to Good Boy, we've seen nerf to Friendly Spirit, we've seen nerf to kind of nerf or change to Shoulder Fairies. So right now, where does it work? It works off of Jormungand, it works off of summons, it works off of trees and round table. So yeah, all these changes are actually nerfing Echoed, and I do believe that's a good thing, because Echoed is grinding a lot of people's gears in the wrong way. Just rubbing them the wrong way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do like this change, because this is not nerfing Shoulder Fairies to the ground. This is bringing Echoed to a manageable level. More so than not, in my opinion at least. Next up, 9th Book of Merlin moves from 5th book to 6th book. Still the same. It's more difficult to get. And it is still such a pain, especially if you combine it with Mimic. I do like what they've done here. This is a well-deserved change, especially that it was rather easy to get it off of Neon or Aeon or Baba Yaga or stuff like that. Horn of Olympus and Evil Eye are getting moved one tier lower, and this is also a great change. I mean, Horn of Olympus was great, and is great. Evil Eye, probably less, so Evil Eye did not deserve level 6. I think if both were on level 5, it would be great, but right now, Horn of Olympus on level 4 is actually something really interesting. Can bring those sport characters, make them way, way better. This might actually turn Pup the Magic Dragon from bottom 3 here. Oh, I'm dreading just saying this. From bottom 3 heroes to maybe bottom 5 heroes? I don't know. Something like that, probably. Fancy Pants got fancier from +2/+2 to +3/+3. I believe it's still a very mediocre treasure, especially when it comes to 3 drops, to level 3 treasures. Slightly better. I still take it from time to time, but it's usually like, okay, so we purchase something, it gets the buff, it gives us another treasure, and pants go bye-bye. But it did its thing. It's like 1-off or 2-off casting a spell. I mean, sure, it's fine if you get them early, but other than that, no. 3 treasures got cut. Tree of Life, Hidden Cache, Hand of Vecna. And the explanation from the developers is as it goes. These treasures are all being cut in this patch. Tree of Life either did nothing, or made a fight completely lopsided while triggering a ton of animations. Yes! Like, oh my goodness, Tree of Life could have been like such a huge disaster, and I like the idea, but some of the fights I had in the last month were just, oh my goodness, if they didn't have Tree of Life, it would have been easy, or yeah, that Tree of Life did nothing. So I do agree, it's especially for such high level of a treasure, it was level 5, I believe. On the other hand, Hidden Cache and Hand of Vecna, one of the worst treasures. I think also they should cut Ring of Revenge, probably, I don't know. And Cat's Call. Always cut Cat's Call. Geppetto can win without Cat's Call, believe me. Also, we got new art for Ashwood Elm and Toilet Trouble. Ashwood Elm looks really evil and menacing. Toilet Trouble, I wouldn't drink that. No. Heartburn guaranteed, and a long visit to the troubled room. Also, bug fixes. Reduce bonus shop time for sleighs. Sure. Additional fixes for connection failures. Yes. Yes. I know this is vague, but I hope the disconnected one person versus 7 ghost lobbies will no longer be in this game. Reality will show us if it is that or not. Fixed end of game screen can show your characters in the wrong spot if you have open spots in the playmat. Sure. Also, we know that it's called a playmat. The Sphinx fixed. If you wish upon a star, win the brawl and level up into X13, you will not get free spells for the turn. Okay. Mordred fixed. If the character summoned from his ability is transformed, the character is replaced. It replaced is gone forever. Okay, that's a good change. I mean, it was a huge bug. Fixed. Transforming an upgraded Brave Princess into another Slay character will cause Grimsoul not to trigger that character's Slay effect. I haven't encountered that, so cool. There was also... Wait. There are also rumors of a new Mordred animation. If you dare find out, I probably will. Also fixed, if Monster Book or Ninth Book of Merlin would cast a Fireball on the last front row enemy, it would cast a second copy on a back row enemy. Okay. All in all these changes look great. It is going to shake up the metagame, and that's honestly what I'm looking for in these patches, especially that recently we've been seeing them like once a month or something like that. So thank you, Good Luck Games, and thank you and hello and good luck to you viewers. And yeah, this is the metagame we're going to be seeing this weekend during the late January tournament. Also, see you then. Kalabovich out.